Phakamile Hlubi-Majola is the spokesperson of the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa. She joins us now to discuss this issue further. A very good evening to you, and thank you as always for availing yourself to SABC News, Mrs. Majola.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're most welcome. You've highlighted, of course, the reasons why this deal must be stopped. Let's go through these reasons now. You say, for example, that SAA exists because of an act of Parliament, yet the process of the sale is shrouded in secrecy. Why is this of such paramount importance? But also, if you can just talk to us about the other 6 points that you have sort of highlighted.
I'm just struggling to hear you, Flo, but I did catch the beginning of what you said.
Yeah.
So basically, for us, in fact, if this process had been done properly, there would have actually been a public consultation process first to determine indeed whether SAA should have been placed in a situation where it can be handed over to an equity partner, because it is a state-owned entity. And in terms of the act that guides its existence, there is a parliamentary process that has to happen if such a decision is to be taken. That hasn't happened at all. We've not seen any parliamentary engagement around where, for example, a debate would have taken place in Parliament on whether this is the next step for SAA. We simply saw the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, take it upon himself to hand-pick an equity partner for SAA without bothering to disclose to Parliament or to the public about the so-called due diligence process that he follows. Every time Pravin is asked to explain the due diligence process, he keeps telling Parliament that we must wait until the process is completed. That's highly irregular. We should know, for example, what was the process that was used to determine why Takatso is the best equity partner, why it was chosen above other companies. We should know who are the bidders, who were the other bidders that made bids. We should know what was the standard that DPE used to decide which bid would win the right to be SAA's equity partner. We don't know any of that. And this is why we know that it's shrouded in secrecy.
Yeah,
and every time
the Competition Commission
asked of Pravin, he has flat out refused to answer. And Parliament, frankly, is not doing enough to make him accountable.
Yeah.
Secondly, the other thing that makes us deeply suspicious about the sale is where have you ever heard of a company the size of SAA being sold to a consortium or to a company on the potential of the company to raise funds?
Yeah, yeah.
As we speak, Takatso has no money. So on what basis does the Department of Public Enterprises then justify that Takatso, out of all bidders, should be the right entity that should be able to take over 51% of SAA? Thirdly, the other issue that we're raising is the issue of the undervaluing. SAA has been grossly undervalued. The last financial statements that we know about are the financial statements that were published in 2016-2017, where the airline was valued at over 14 billion rand. We now find out, through the media, of course, because Pravin never discloses, we find out through the media that Takatso was allowed to do its own evaluation, that there was no valuation of the airline done by an independent institution appointed by DPE. Takatso did its own and came to a decision that SAA was valued at 3 billion. Now, there's two problems with that.
Okay, let me come in here. I need to come in here. I need to come in here because we are running out of time. I just want to come in here. I just want to come in here. Just hold on a second. Just in terms of the fact that you're saying that there were no, were not highlighted, it wasn't shown that there were, other bidders, other players and so forth. This should have been ironed out by the Competition Commission. But, we hear from the Competition Commission last week, and the Competition Commission announces and says, you know what, they actually want to approve, they provisionally approve the recommendation to merge the two companies, and in fact give them the all clear for Takatso and SAA to merge. One could argue that, the Competition Commission is an independent party, has no stake in all of this. What did you make of the fact that the Competition Commission is saying, no, continue, go ahead? Would you also, as Numsa, argue that the Competition Commission is flawed in how they are rationalizing this?
It's our view that the Competition Commission is legitimizing an illegitimate process. What gives them the confidence? If they have confidence, they must disclose to us. This is not Pravin Gordhan's family business. This is a state-owned entity which is governed by an act of parliament. And as a public, we have every right to know every aspect of the deal. And as things stand, we don't know. So we think it is really problematic that the Competition Commission could okay this deal without asking the important questions that we are asking and that we've been asking consistently since day one.
Yeah. A lot of people have been pushing for this issue of privatization, but, Numsa has been raising, red flags specifically in this particular case. What do you believe is, the end goal, particularly with this transaction, that you are raising these sort of red flags? I'm sure you're raising them because you believe that it's not legitimate, but also because you're concerned about what the end goal is. What do you believe that end goal to be ultimately? I mean, you raise the minister's name, Pravin Gordhan, for example, and you're saying that it's not his family business. What do you believe is the push really for this deal to happen?
Well, there's a few things that we're concerned about.
Yeah.
As we said, the fact that the airline has not been properly evaluated. Secondly, we are told through the media that the transaction has already been finalized and SAA is going to be sold for an amount of 51 Rand. So basically what's happened is that an airline, which was valued at 14 billion, has been sold for 51 Rand to friends of the ANC government. The key executive at Harris is half owned by Takatso rather, is half owned by Harris. And one of the executives of Harris happens to be Jabu Muleketi, who is the former finance minister and also the former ANC MEC for Gauteng, and also a former MEC leader of the ANC. So what this actually is a state capture part 2. That's what this is. Because we have an entire airline that's been gifted to an entity that has no money, and it just so happens that that entity is led by friends of the ANC. The other thing that we are concerned about is that because Takatso has no money, and they have grossly, deliberately undervalued SAA, what we foresee as Numsa is that there will be a flash sale of SAA's assets so that Takatso can raise the funding in order to actually run SAA, because they don't have the funds right now to do that. Right. So really, this is corruption at the highest level, and we see absolute silence on the side of the Portfolio Committee for Public Enterprises. In fact, it was the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises that we wrote to on the 30th of April, demanding an audience to say that this deal is dodgy. We think there's corruption involved. We think that the behavior of the minister cannot be justified and there must be accountability. And as I speak to you now, Flo, we are still waiting for an answer from that portfolio committee. And we wonder if there's any political will to actually give the kind of answers that the public deserves on the sale of this very strategic state-owned entity.
All right. Phakamile, many thanks to you as always. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola is a spokesperson of the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa.